Today we are here at Maanzoni just to join the Maanzoni Million Tree Challenge organization in their 8th game count, which is symbolic to them and symbolic to all of us, being the players in the tourism sector. We have the Athi Kapiti Wildlife Corridor, which is recently gazetted by the Parliament of Kenya, and this serves as a very critical migratory route for animals moving from the Nairobi National Park down to the other areas, conservation areas in Kenya. So what this initiative means to us is that we are able to determine the health of this ecosystem, having the proper knowledge of what is in this ecosystem in terms of the species, the biodiversity, and with that we can build on the restoration initiatives that are in this area to target the wildlife, that the game that exists in this particular landscape. So for this 8th game count, I think what really stands out for us is that we are not just participating in a census for animals, but shaping and reshaping the future of Kenya and conservation in totality for the whole Nairobi National Park and the ecosystem that depends on it downstream, like we have the Shimba Hills, the Savo, and all the other ecosystems that actually heavily rely on the Maanzoni conservation area for their lifeline.
The landscape-wide game count is a citizen-led effort where citizens, just anybody, as long as you are able to operate a phone, operate a simple app, you're able to come and we count and we collect data of the animals that you can count in a selected area. Okay, so many people will wonder why we do game counts and what do we do with the data. So we do game counts primarily to gauge the health of the landscape, or we can call it an ecosystem. We want to know, let's say for example, a species like the giraffe, which is a key species, how it's performing in terms of distribution. How far are they going? How far are they being seen? Where are the densities? Where do they concentrate? We're also looking at seasonal changes. Right now it's very dry, very hot, the rains fell, so there's scarcity of water. So the data helps us to know how animals are behaving and reacting to different environmental, human, and other threats that are happening. We also look at health of the landscape in terms of the grasslands. This data typically is shared with decision-making organizations like the Kenya government, county governments, NGOs, conservation NGOs that are on the forefront of implementing interventions. Interventions can range from security, breeding programs. We are looking at restocking programs. We are looking at corridors, opening up corridors, water and other areas where we can do to enhance or manage the wildlife numbers. So the difference between the Athi Kapiti game count and the others, we've been doing this, it's a collaborative effort. Most places you'll find one conservancy counting and keeping data for themselves. For example, in the protected areas, the government will count Nairobi National Park and keep data, Amboseli, etc. But when we count in and out of the park, community areas. We want to see how the wildlife is moving in and out. So the uniqueness of Athi Kapiti is because we are very urbanized, meaning that there's a lot of human settlement, a lot of fencing, a lot of human activities, but still within these human activities you find a lot of wildlife coexisting, sometimes in a good manner and sometimes in a bad manner. And therefore the difference with us is that the data is very quickly used to create interventions.
And what we do is long-term ecosystem restoration within the Athi Kapiti, and we do it through vegetation, waterholes, and also through removal of invasive species. And how we do our restoration is through data collection. And so today's event is also very important to us, because by finding out where the wildlife is and the movement for the wildlife, we are also able to know which are the hotspots and how do we need to conserve the area. We do have our portable Savanna, where we try to teach people how we do our restoration events and also the kind of trees that we plant here. And then also the different types of vegetations that are found in this whole ecosystem. And where we are today at Malinda, so this is the grassland, and this is where the wildlife comes to browse. So we also try to respect that and also tell people that this area, even if you plant too many trees, what you're going to do is that it's going to be counterproductive. You're going to lose the wildlife, and it's going to be like a hardship to try and make those trees survive.
One of the things that I would love to appreciate is the coming of communities to realize that these natural resources, truly their conservation represents a value in our orientation. If we don't care about wildlife, it means we are failing in our obligation as citizens of the world and also citizens of this country. And we really need each person. We need each space. These resources depend on us. They don't vote, but they mean so much. If you see a healthy system where wildlife really move, people are happy, and then we feel well endowed with these natural resources.
Yeah, today was a very, very interesting day. I think it's the first game count I've done. I've done so very many things in my life, conservation-wise, but for game counts, this has been the first. It was very interesting because you're used to sighting animals in a game drive, but not actually logging in how many you have sighted. So just the whole experience of getting down to count, these are 10, then trying to minimize from the 10, how many are male, how many are female. So it has been a very informative and educative session for us, because we even had moments where we now stopped to look at the poop, for example, and we'd get to understand now this is a poop for, say, a dik-dik. They walk in twos, so theirs are minimal. We have those for the antelopes, we have those for the giraffes. So it has been a very educative session for us and very enlightening. Just to get to understand how much game there is in this area is mind-blowing, and we look forward to more and more engagements of this nature in the near future.
As someone who loves birds, given the ecosystem in this area, I can say the birds that are here are quite many. And it makes me think that we need to do something to make sure these birds stay here. This is a very rich environment and habitat for these birds, and I think when we decide to do habitat restoration, it will greatly impact not only the animals but also the birds at large. One of the birds that we saw today was the superb starling, a very beautiful bird with very bright colors. So maybe if you come here, you can get to see them too.
My takeaway from this event has largely been on how much we ignore coming together and pulling together, because for conservation you cannot do it as a single person or a single entity or a single organization. No, conservation for us as Lazizi is a joint effort between community, between the government, between all players that are involved in it, and essentially coming together as we have today, the hotel industry, the foundation, we have MMTC, we have other corporations that are with us here today, is a renewed commitment to me that people still do actually care for the wildlife and they do care for the environment around us. So that has been my major take home. United in our diversity, we unite just to have a common goal and push it through. And I think with this, the Athi Kapiti Wildlife Corridor will for real flourish in the near future.
Habitat restoration and conservation cannot be done by a single person or a single organization. That way, as communities, we should come together to ensure that we do these things together to protect the wildlife, the birds and the people. We all co-live together, and that is how nature is. We have to live together. Kuna mwenye ataishi peke yake.